to chat with packets. So let's take a 15-minute break, get some coffee, get some candies. There's 2 more presentations and then hopefully a panel discussion. And I've got something a little special I want to try after my next presentation. So make sure you come back. Time for me to talk about MCP than RAG. And that's partly because it's a simpler technology. There's a lot less moving parts. It's very clear and easy to understand and to implement. We've been talking about it a lot today, and I wanted to just kind of wrap things up with sort of my view on MCP. So after about a year of doing RAG and raptor trees and graph RAG, I saw this article from Anthropic in November, and I think it was Dwan who actually sent it to me, if I'm correct, saying, have you heard of MCP? And I thought it was just another AI acronym that followed in the path of RAG and all the rest of them. But this was different. This is really different. So here's my view of and we've all seen the DevOps, plan, code, build, test, release, deploy, operate, monitor. I would argue network has gone through traditional ops, syslog, SNMP, manual effort, reactive. A lot of places are still in this mode. DevOps comes around in 2000 with the REST API, which opens up the Agile Manifesto, CI/CD pipelines, reduction of silos in the DevOps space. 15 years go by and networks decide, let's try that with infrastructure as code and with automation in net DevOps. I would argue AI ops comes along with AI augmentations like Selector, and I like to say Vibe Ops is here, like vibe coding. Why do the coders get to have all the fun? But you've seen Vibe Ops here today. How's the health of my Wi-Fi in Dallas? Do I have any circuits down in Atlanta? How is my meantime, my round trip time between Atlanta and Philadelphia? There's no code. We're just vibing it out, right? With MCPs and agents. Now, you can hate me for coming up with Vibe Ops. I don't care. I love Vibe Ops. I'd like to be Selector's Vibe Operator-in-Chief. So the technology inflection point. I think we've gone through a few of these, right? ChatGPT 3.5, things change. New ways of doing things, the old ways fall off. MCP is right behind it with another inflection point. Now, some of us have gone through computing, internet, mobile, cloud, and now AI. I would argue that below this line, every one of these has had detractors. And every one of us in the room has had to defend one of these pillars, right? No, the home computer is not just going to be a garage hobby like the ham radio. Remember Bill Gates? Every home in the world's going to have 2 or 3 computers, not just one? And everyone went, whoa, what a hype machine. Who needs a computer in their home? I remember reading those articles, right? Anyway, internet, same thing. Mobile, same thing. I'm going to carry a computer around on my phone? Like, my phone is my phone. It doesn't need to do anything else. Cloud, I'm going to run my data on someone else's computer? There's always the downside. But I like to focus on this side, all right? So I say remember for most of us, but some of the younger people in the room, I had to reword this. Try to imagine a society before SMTP. Who here has ever written a letter, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it? Has anyone not done that ever in their life? Is anyone that young? But I bet you if you ask someone who's 17, like, what's a stamp, right? What are you talking about, right? So we get email clients, email servers, right? Think of HTTP. And I like Jeremy's, right, we're going to focus on the protocol, right? And then even various routing protocols. I would argue that it's actually quite simple to understand after all these discussions we've had today. The model, large language, small language, embeddings, multimodal. The context, not the window, but the context we're providing that model through a protocol, a standard approach that we have client-server architecture. I like the USB-C description. I know some people aren't really sold on the USB-C. They like plug and play a little better. I'll show you what that means in a bit. But since November, there's over 16,000 of these MCP servers on mcp.so. MCP is the first technology that there's more builders than users. Isn't that weird? Like, I bet you there's 4,000 MCP users in the world for the 16,000 MCP servers that have been built, right? Universally embraced by the big hyperscalers, even knowledge bases, right? Like, have you ever had to go to a knowledge base and find the article and find the how-to? Well, you can do it with AWS's knowledge base, Microsoft Azure's knowledge base, GCP's knowledge base, GitHub, plug in all these MCPs, how best to deploy a VPC in AWS. Oh, and I have a database in GCP, how best to connect them. And it's going to use the MCP to read the actual knowledge base. Kind of like RAG that we talked about earlier, right? The servers offer the tools much like DHCP, and there's no code, there's no friction. So when I add the Selector MCP, the Itential MCP, let's take the Selector MCP, the server has 10 tools, and the client discovers all 10 tools just like DHCP. There's an ask selector, a query selector, natural language phrases. The client just knows how to use these things, very much in a DHCP way. Now, it does not have to just be REST APIs that we abstract. Some people conflate MCP as just a proxy or a new front end in front of an MCP or an API. I've written PyETS, network automation framework, Python functions that are decorated as MCP tools. Database calls can be decorated as MCP tools. So open up, broaden your horizons. A whole RAG system could be decorated as an MCP tool. And natural language is the foundation. Code-free, REST-free, which used to bother me, but I'm sort of leaning into it now. Just a visual, we're going to have our MCP client. Typically, this is a React agent, Claude code, Gemini, etc. But it could just be VS Code, an IDE with a copilot inside of it. And we just start snapping in the MCPs that could go to a database or a Python server, or even over the web, over the internet to some resource. How do we build these? And why are there 16,000 of them if it's only 8 months old? I import the FastMCP library. I instantiate that, MCP equals FastMCP, see the connection here, and I give it a name, at MCP tool decorator, and my asynchronous Python function. 1, 2, 3. You've just passed the CCNP automation exam from Cisco. This will be on their exam. This will be on their exam, I guarantee it. Now, servers can be run locally in Studio, which is just a shorthand way of saying standard input-output. It's local, it's on the back plane. There's no open listening port. It's all through the back, almost like C++, standard input-output. Or like in Selector's implementation, it's your Selector instance, so mlb.selector.ai/MCP. It's on the remote server. It's authenticated with OAuth 2. It's as easy as it can get. And the backend communications, JSON RPC 2. In terms of clients, I'm going to show more than tell, but there's all kinds of clients have emerged. And the big hyperscalers are getting in on this. Google just put out Gemini CLI. Anthropic and Amazon's got the Claude, VS Code from Microsoft, Cursor, Tailwind. A whole ecosystem is exploding. Or, in some of our customer cases, their own React agents, right? They're building the client. Again, I focused on this a little earlier. The reasoning and actions, not all models are reasoning capable. GPT-4o introduced the idea of reasoning and the idea of binding these MCPs as actions or tools that this agent can call without any human intervention. You're not saying, what's my default route, and use the Selector MCP to find that out. You just say, what's my default route? It does all of the other inference for you. So what are we talking about plug and play? URL to your MCP at Selector, headers, authorization bearer token that you get from the web interface. That is it. You plug this into a settings.json file or an mcp.json file. Depends. Most of them are called mcp.json, but Gemini is called like settings.json. So you have MCP servers at the top, and then you start to enumerate your servers. That is it. That is all the code you need. It's not a great analogy, but for the networking folks still kind of seeing where the agent layer lives and the MCP layer, I kind of like the OSI model. And if you think of layer 1 as your hardware, your GPUs at layer 1, and think of tools at layer 2 of OSI, local, broadcast, discovery, but not accessible over the web, there's a new protocol, and it came up a couple times today, agent to agent. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Greg's agent, Jeremy's agent, my agent can all work together autonomously. So A to A, or H to A, human to agent, right? I think of this as almost like layer 3 in the OSI stack. These can route over the public internet. So I've done an experiment where I had an agent on A to A on my MacBook with ngrok out on the internet listening, and an agent on my Windows machine, and they were able to communicate to each other. What was really neat was my Mac agent had selector tools, and my Windows agent had PyETS. I asked the Windows agent something about selector. Can you ask selector about the health of BGP? That agent looked at its local tools and said, well, I don't have local tool to do that. Oh, but I'm connected to this other agent somewhere out there on the internet that does have the selector tool, because these agents have agent cards describing their capabilities. So I actually made a call to agent 1 that autonomously by itself knew to call agent 2, passed in the context, got the answer from selector, passed it back over the internet, and answered my prompt. So A to A, external agent routing, MCP, local to the agent tool calling. Gemini CLI, let me show you this. Okay, so Jeremy mentioned multimodal. What you're going to see is the Gemini CLI, this little window, command line interface, and I'm going to talk to selector and listen to selector answer me all through MCPs.
Hi, thank you so much, Gemini. I'm glad this is working. Could you please ask selector for a list of my Cisco devices? Thank you.
Always say please and thank you. Cost Sam Altman as many tokens as you can. I can't help myself. I always say please and thank you, even when I don't consciously do it. But anyway, so you can see here that the talk MCP server has turned on my microphone, and it's absorbed my words and turned them into text.
See how it's asking selector, the selector MCP, and there we go.
And there's the Ask Selector tool that answers by natural language,
Listen to it though.
and then we'll get the answer back in audio.
Of course. According to Selector, here are your Cisco devices seen in the last 30 minutes. Core router 01, core router 02, core router 03.
We're not going to go through all of them. Now, forget about latency. I don't care how things slow or fast they are. Things will get faster. Things just always get faster, right? So that latency, do I really want to wait 10 seconds for it to answer? You're missing the point, right? Bleep, like Star Trek. Hey, computer, how's the health of my routers? A second goes by and the thing goes, the routers all look fine, John. How else can I help you? No typing, cognitive load. There's a whole raft of reasons. The blind, the visually impaired, stress injuries, carpal tunnel, physical impairments, cognitive issues, learning disabilities, right? The keyboard is a barrier. I know we all just use it and don't think of it that way, but for someone who can't use a keyboard or who struggles, imagine just being able to use the microphone and listen to the answers, right? So now this is something Sebastian set up with Claude desktop. So that was Gemini CLI. This is more of a ChatGPT style interface that under this little button here, you can see the MCPs that are connected. Watch this one. Watch this one. So can you use selector to give me the latest event? And I think he refines this to say the last event. That's it. What's going on in my network? What was the last thing that I should care about, right? So we can see the tool kick in now, and it's going to query selector. And it's going to try a different approach to get the last event with a different query. And now it's actually running S2 QL, our query language, queries, and we can see there's BGP events, interface state changes, health metrics. The events show activity across multiple data centers in Chicago, Toronto, New York, and Texas. Would you like more specific information about a particular type of event or device? Yes, get a list of, or no, we get the uptime from one of the routers. And to Greg's point, even just the simple act of, am I on the right device? Do I have to go into some vault to get the credentials? Log in, know the right show command to get this information, take the text out of PuTTY or whatever you're using, paste it into this, do that. It's all just right here, right? So there's the uptime, 20 hours, 51. So now he's going to do a couple more prompts here. Use selector to get my NL phrases. And now this is going to be all the natural language phrases that he could use against selector. Just going to check the time real quick. Okay. So now I'm going to skip ahead a video here. There's, some of the final information here. But to show you whoops, I did it again. Sorry. There's a secondary video to show you that we can, yeah. So we have all this analysis. In Claude Desktop, he's snapped in the ServiceNow MCP. So right from here, he can just follow up his original thread with, can you take the events and alert information we received from selector and create a ServiceNow ticket? And assign it to Eric.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the ServiceNow ticket gets created, it gets assigned, it has all that detailed information just from Claude Desktop. Okay, now, I'm going to try something a little fun. Does anyone object to being in a photo, a group photo? Is that okay to take a picture? All right, cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is switch over to my Gemini, and I'm going to use this prompt, and I'm going to try to stand here to get the photo of the room, okay? So I've asked my prompt, and I'll keep an eye on it. Oh, sorry, it's asking if I should proceed. I'm going to say yes, proceed. And don't worry, this will all become...
things you shouldn't.
I don't want to move, but I want to see what it's saying.
Starting camera visualization.
So do we see a JPEG on the
Failed to
screen
read
yet?
frame.
Unable to capture the image.
Unable to capture the image. Possibly there's an issue with camera connection or permissions.
Let me do a /devices. Sorry. Oh, I knew it.
John, maybe we just move to the demo?
No, I did the demo, Stephen.
Oh, I thought the summation.
This is just this is the very last thing. I'm just going to, give me 1 second here. I'll check devices and make sure it picks up my iPhone. So it's going to list the cameras. Yeah, there's a second camera. So let me try that prompt again. And if this doesn't work, I can cancel it. We can get on to the happy hour stuff. I just wanted to try this as a memento to keep everyone could get a copy of.
Nope.
Started.
Failed to.
Capture the image.
So let me just actually exit right out of Gemini and try a fresh session. I know. I'm sorry. It would be fun if it would work, because it's pretty cool what actually happens. So what's supposed to happen is I had written an MCP that accesses my Mac's camera, and I found out that it could actually access my iPhone. And I'm going to take a photo and then send it to Nano Banana and turn it into a sketch of all of you. Then I send it to VO3, and animate it and make a movie of the crowd. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it here. Finalizing tool parameters, mapping user requests, formatting tool calls.
Orchestrating.
I did this
Final
3
tool.
times this morning and worked all 3 times. Non-deterministic workflows. We've heard about this, haven't we?
Live demos.
He's got it solved, so.
It looked like it took on camera then. Yeah, it's got a white line. You did.
Sorry, everyone. Let me just.
Finalizing video tool, generating pipeline. Constructing tool sequences is good.
You should ask it the root cause why it's not working.
Oh, tool VO is not in the registry.
No.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry, everyone. That's really a shame.
No, you actually had everything. That's good.
Oh no, it's using the camera now.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, it's doing banana.
Okay, so there is the hand-drawn image.
Yeah.
Does anyone see themselves in the crowd?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And this takes about a minute or 2, but I'll show you the prompt. So now it's going to send it to VO3, right? So absolutely, here's the photo transformed into a hand-drawn pencil sketch, keeping the faces real from the audience. Now, sketch created. Now for the final step, animating the crowd celebrating. And I send the nano banana image with the prompt to VO through MCP. And now it takes about 70 seconds or so. So once that hits about 2 minutes, we'll get the video. And I'll make sure Gianna and I send the photo and the video out to everyone as a keepsake. I've shown this to Google, and they looked at me like a dog that was shown a card trick. They were just kind of like, but you did, why would you do that, right? Because I live in the penthouse up at top of the right? And of course, as soon as I finished this and got it working, I ran in and got a shot of my wife on the couch and showed her the video, and she was equally disturbed, right? And she goes, "Oh, let me guess. This is going to change the world." It's kind of my catchphrase around the house. I'll come running out of my office and go, "Honey, no, like MCP, so this is going to change everything, right?" But she can see it now in my face and beats me to the punch and goes, "Let me guess. There's something that's going to change the world, right?" So we'll just give this another couple seconds. The other thing is, let me call up the happy hour while we're waiting. That's what I can do.
Don't we have the panel?
Yeah.
Sean?
Oh yeah, we do. We have a panel. Let me get to the panel. All right, we'll just let that finish up. So thank you. And for the panel, I'm going to get another couple chairs. So if we can have all the speakers come up to the front, I'll get some more chairs and Nippy. Did that already. Yeah, that was part of the rag. Oh, sorry, yeah, that was in the rag videos. I'm just going to get the other chair.
You're gonna get a nice picture out of that YouTube, like you really did like this.
Yeah, good. We might need another chair.
Perfect. We have
What's up, man? Hey, Scott, how's it going?
not using that.
What's it like over there?
You don't hear.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah, every so often they switch code after.
We have a microphone for questions, and then we'll also put a microphone over here, I would assume.
Okay, so Greg will answer everything.
Yeah. Well, then that way, the mic's over there. Should I put this one over here for them? Okay. Now we're here.
Okay, so there's the video.
Capobianco.
Yeah, that's
Wow. That's pretty cool.
I'm so glad I pulled that off. They were with me, that's right.
We all live on in the training data.
Matrix now.